Hello everybody. Sorry about that technical difficulty that I had, but I'm here. Please let people know that I'm on, and please share this link with everybody. Let everybody know that I'm Periscope. This is Dr. Joanny Liu, and I'm the founder of Concussion Answers and also best-selling author of Heal Your Concussion, How to Quickly and Effectively Get Back in the Game. And welcome to today's episode, because I'm going to be talking about the research that your MD is ignoring and doesn't even know about, because they're not keeping close to what should matter to them, and that's getting you back on your feet as soon as possible. So basically, I write a blog every week. So besides doing the videos that I do every week, most weeks, I'm also writing about it. So here's my blog. And this week it's about Concussion Answers Are No Closer, okay? So here I am. So you can find me at drjoanny.com. You can sign up for it right on my homepage even. And the thing is that you're going to get information about how to keep your brain strong, and that's by telling the stories of people who have succeeded, who haven't succumbed, who used their minds and their brains in the right way to get to where they are. Because the thing is that if we're going to talk about the brain, then we've got to talk about the brain. And when we're talking about concussions, we're definitely talking about the brain, okay? We don't get a concussion in our leg or in our shoulder or in our chest or in our back. A concussion is a problem with the head and the brain area, okay? And I guess the thing about concussion is that it's mostly functional. It's not a structural problem. But it's kind of funny, because people have been saying for decades now that the best thing to do is to rest. And then it really comes down to, well, how much rest? And I guess in the old days, when I had my my one and only concussion when I was 7 years old, and I remember it really clearly, 7 years old, it was winter time in Montreal, Quebec. There was tons of snow and ice on the ground, and like most kids my age, at that time, or any time when there's ice, we want to slide on it. So I was sliding on it in my winter boots, and suddenly my feet gave out from under me, and down I went, and I struck my head, okay? And I remember feeling really nauseous, really yucky, nauseous. I probably wanted to throw up. I definitely had headaches. Hi, here I am. And I got home somehow. I don't even know how I got home. My dad would pick us up at the end of the day, and he would walk us back home. And so I got home, and my mother took care of me, and sometime later I was back at school. But definitely, there was no staying at home for days on end, nothing like being in a dark room or anything, and plus there was no panic over a head injury. Okay, no panic at all. Although my mother did tell me that if she ever punished us corporally, she never hit us in the head, because she knew that the head and the brain were very important. So instead, we got spanked or struck on the arm or the leg with her feather duster, which stung. Okay, so as kids, we didn't ever want to get hit. So I think for the most part we behaved. So the thing is that the research lately has been indicating, and is backed up by older research studies, that too much rest is actually bad for concussions. It's really bad for brain injuries, okay? Because I first found a study last year in 2015. Oh, thank you so much. I love you too. I first found a study last year that was done for a pediatric magazine that stated that extended rest, prolonged rest, actually made the symptoms worse or made them last longer. actually made the symptoms last a lot longer, and instead of the usual care. So by usual care, they were talking about 1 or 2 days of rest and then getting back to normal. And I thought, oh my God, here's somebody who's finally thinking these things through, because I finally found that, yeah, this is true, right? So this is very, very true, because that's the sort of thing that I recommend. And so we'll get into that a little bit later. So a very recent study published this month, earlier this month, also says the same thing, that it actually makes things worse, and so really there is absolutely no proof at all that prolonged rest for days on end in a darkened room is going to make a concussion better. In fact, it's going to make things much worse. And so let's put it this way. It's not going to, it's not, the problem is that your doctors are way behind the 8 ball on research. They have no idea actually how to treat a concussion. This is about in 99% of the cases, and even most neurologists don't know how to treat a concussion because, well, most of them are neurosurgeons, and you don't need surgery to heal a concussion. In fact, I would say any kind of surgery is not a method of healing at all, because to me that's just adding more injury to an insult or more insult to an injury, and it only makes things worse, and it only takes longer to get healed. So what I recommend then is to get back into the game of life, okay? Into the game of life as soon as possible. So don't spend days on end taking time off from work or from school. Instead, go back to school. Go back to work. Try things out. If you're tired, sooner than normal, then go home, So I want you to be able to tell yourself how you feel and to be honest enough to admit it and just go home and get your rest and try again the next day, okay? So you keep doing that with every activity that you want to do until you feel that you really are better, okay? Because, I heard several years ago from a mother who contacted me. She said she could not see her active 10-year-olds spending days on end in a darkened room. Okay, she was looking for another solution, and obviously she felt intuitively, and she was correct, that there was just something wrong with this advice. Okay, and just recently, I found out about a mother who told me that her daughter, who had a very severe concussion because she had 3 blows to the head during this game, and she even blacked out once, okay? Probably the last time, the last blow probably knocked her out. And her doctor had instructed, okay, 2 weeks in bed, and she might as well just say goodbye to the rest of the school year. Just like that. And she noticed, and so, like any good person would, she did her own research and found that all this sleeping might be detrimental. And she found out, observing her daughter, that her daughter was actually more exhausted from all that sleep and rest. So I told her what I'm telling you right now, like, you be the person to decide if you can do things or not. Don't let somebody else tell you whether you can do it or not. You've got to go out there and decide for yourself if you're capable, right? Thank you so much for your hearts. I love you too. And because nobody can tell you how you feel. And don't let other people tell you how you feel or what you should do. You should get back into a normal routine as soon as possible. Even the things that you were planning on doing, do them, Just go out and try it. See if you can do it. Because the only thing that's holding us back are our minds. Because that's the other thing. The other research that's out there, and I'm just going to look at my notes here, is that, the research is saying that we can't just recognize what's going on physically. Hello. we got to recognize what's going on mentally and emotionally, okay, and how we handle stress. Because the research is saying that they have found that people who are stressed out before their concussion, thank you very much for your hearts, I love you too, are the people who definitely have a concussion afterwards. So it doesn't mean that just because you're stressed out that you're going to get a concussion. It's not like you're asking for a concussion. But the thing is that in some people are more susceptible to it because it definitely has a weakening effect on the brain. So that's why we really have to be very careful about what conventional wisdom says, which actually says very little, and we have to go and make sure that we're taking care of ourselves, looking for much more comprehensive treatment modes, okay? Because right now the research is showing us is that there isn't such a thing, there isn't such an animal until now, okay? And that actually exists in my best-selling book, Heal Your Concussion, How to Quickly and Effectively Get Back in the Game. So it's going to give you all the steps that you need in order to get back in the game of life, or get back in the game that you love to play. And I'm sure if you're an athlete, you are missing it. I mean, I'm an amateur athlete. And I would hate being unable to go out for a run or for a power walk. You know, I would absolutely hate it. So imagine if you're a professional athlete or an elite athlete and you love your sport and you identify with your sport. This is who you are, and you can't do it. You're on the sidelines and you're becoming a professional cheerleader for your team while they're excelling and having fun and getting the job done. Isn't that crap? I would think so. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Vivsu. Exactly. We gotta look at our lives in a different way. We gotta take care of ourselves in a way that is more important than just looking at the physical aspects. So, really have a Mandarin accent. That's interesting because I've never actually spoken Mandarin. Awesome. So, the thing is that other research is telling us about how our thoughts change our brains. And not just our brains, but our DNA as well. I mean, study after study. Like, this is the sort of thing that I'm talking about in my blog today, okay? And, of course, in a short way in today's broadcast. But the thing is that you'll get a lot more out of reading my blog than you will with me talking, because obviously I have a lot more room to write down, and I can only remember so much, and also if I get excited then I forget about the other stuff, so it's kind of cool, right? So the thing is, I'm really passionate about the new research that's out there, except that I'm really disappointed in the fact that most MDs aren't aware of any of this, okay? They're only treating your symptoms that they can see. And that's all they can see. And if they can't see symptoms, then they think that they can't do anything for you. And that's the problem with modern medicine these days, because they only look at the surface. But what's below the surface is 100 times more important. Okay? So, if you know anybody who is suffering from a concussion, or if you're suffering from one yourself, then please go to Amazon and pick up my best-selling book, Heal Your Concussion, How to Quickly and Effectively Get Back in the Game. And I'll be back next week with another inspiring story. Okay, well, thank you very much. Well, actually, this blue shows up really well in video. That's why I'm wearing it, and I actually love it. So, but I do wear a lot of red. Unfortunately, red doesn't do as well on video. Okay? All right, well, thanks for that info, and have a fantastic week until next week when I come back with another inspiring story. Bye. Thank you, thank you, thank you.